Hi, we thank you for
Hi.
checking in to this, our 98th episode. We are the three Black Pratt grads, and we're talking photography. My name is Kenneth Nelson. I'm here with my two good friends, Marc Skinner and Greg Cleghorn. We're all graduates of the Fine Art Photography program at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, and each of us has decades of professional commercial experience, and we bring that to the table each week when we talk. And this episode, captioned Method to Our Madness, I thought we'd talk about experiences putting our digital photographs in order and basically the way we do that. And so I'm going to start this off really quick, and I'm just going to. This shouldn't be too long. So what I wanted to do is go through with you a little bit of history or a quick glance at history, and hopefully this may look familiar, or it may not look familiar. Have you ever tried going through your photographs and trying to look for a specific image, and you had to go through all your photographs to find the one that you were looking for? And the larger your archive is, the worse off you were because that meant literally maybe hours of searching shoe boxes, dresser drawers, or wherever you kept your photographs.
Hours,
No, yeah, hours.
if you're
Uh,
lucky.
as-
I got there's one
all right, so yeah,
there's one
so
picture I've been looking for months, man.
so those were the days of the print. Now, when we have images tied to our phones and our cell phones, and you sort of figure out how in the world do I find my images on the cell phone? Well, I think the cell phone companies and the app companies have uh, improved upon that by giving you some sort of orderliness to your images, even though you yourself don't organize them within the phone. Your apps do it, or the company who operates your cell phone does that for you. As professional photographers and as commercial photographers, there's a certain method that has to happen in order for you, as us, to find the images that we're going to use either for commercial, for fine art, or just for our own personal use. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a little bit of details about how I go through finding orderliness in my archive. I've been photographing for decades, so therefore I have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of images. So the question is, how do I search for the images? Well, I start off with a file name. How do I organize my images? I organize them by giving them each a unique file name. And my file name consists of just 9 digits. So no matter what, every image that I ever shoot in my life will only have 9 digits. That way I don't have to worry about extending it or shortening it for any reason whatsoever. Okay? And for me, and again, this is my secret, and you know my secret now. If I want to know anything about this image, I know where to find it. So right now you're looking, let's just pay attention to the right side of this. There's a 9 digit code, and a 9 digit has a meaning. Okay. So for me, the first 2 digits are the year, the next 2 digits are the month, and the next 3 digits would be the file name. I'm sorry, the sequence number. I'm sorry. So let me say that again. The year, the month, and the day. I apologize. So it's the year, the month, and the day are the first 6 digits. The last 3 digits are the sequence number. So this is how everything gets organized. And as you can see on the left side, everything is organized by the month. So this is how I put things in order. So whenever I offload images into my archive, they are automatically converted to the proper file name by the application and placed into the folder automatically. So this is the top level of my folder structure. Uh, right, so this would be where everything is categorized by the year, and then every month is broken out. Now, earlier, what I used to do is within these subfolders, I'd have each one broken out by a day, but I stopped doing that because I don't think I need 30 folders in January to do that. So every image that I ever shoot in January is just located in a January folder in mass. Okay. This is let's see, this was the sub.
Okay,
And so this is just another
I've got 31 days in January.
31 days. So that would mean 31 folders. Yeah. So I don't do
Okay.
that anymore. right? So everything I photograph is just in one folder. So this is again just and I apologize. This is the sub level. This is actually the top level. As you can see, everything is in order: 2018, 2019, 2020, 2022. Right, so that's order. And on the right, you'll see how many images are within the folder. This is the sub level where now each folder is broken out by the month. Okay, from January right now, we're up till July, so I'm figuring everything in July. Okay. So the next one I'm going to go through, the next image I'm going to go through is, this is what my development module looks, development? No, this is what my library module looks like in Lightroom. And so when I'm looking at an image, right, this main section is the image. And the next section that I want to talk about is keywording. Because one of the ways to search your massive archive is just by making sure that they're tagged with a keyword. So that way, anytime you type in a specific word, all the images that have been tagged with that word comes up, right? So the keyword section for this particular module is right over here in the right-hand corner, right-hand side. And I'm going to blow this up. And so in this particular image, this is downtown Brooklyn, right? So when I go into and enter a keyword, I keyword everything that I can figure out within this image that's associated with that file. So we know that the address.
Hey, I'm sorry, Ken. Are you working in Lightroom or what?
This is
program?
Lightroom. This is Lightroom.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So all of these, this is pre-established. You can just open up an image and it'll give you that as the subtext on the side.
You have to create these tags.
Okay.
Right. So every tag that's in here, I created. So every word that's separated by comma. So the address of the building is 9 DeKalb. The temperature of the day was 32 degrees. The lens that I used was a 50 Apo. The title of the project is called Brooklyn Changes. Where was it located? It was on Bond Street in Brooklyn. It was during the coronavirus disease pandemic, so I can pull that up. It was COVID-19, which is another word for it. Dime Savings Bank building, because that's the building. Where is it? In downtown Brooklyn. What street it's on? It's on Fulton Street Mall. What month was it? January. And my Kenneth Photography. What time of day was it? What city, what state, and what day of the week was it? These are the things that come to me that means the most important. This is how I find my images when I do a search.
Wow. You guys are going to make me hate myself, but that's good stuff, Ken. Cross-referencing too, yeah. Yeah.
So here's another one, just to give you an idea. This is a different photograph, so it has different attributes, right? So this is a person in the rain. And of course, every time I come to these images, sometimes I continue to think about new keywords to add to them because I didn't think about it when I first imported the images. So in this particular image, for some reason, I don't know why birth date is in. It's kind of weird. But it's on Fifth Avenue. It was shot with a 50 lens. It was 74 degrees that day. It's a Flatiron building. It's Manhattan. It's New York City. It was an overcast day. The pedestrians are walking. It's raining, springtime. It's on a street corner. It's Tuesday. It's United States. It's West 23rd Street. So these are all things that are attribute of that image, right? Now there's more because right now I don't think I'm missing one word. What's the main feature? It's got an umbrella. So I need to put umbrella in here. Right? I need to put crosswalk in there. And if worse comes to worse, I can do bokeh because it's slightly out of focus in the background. So those are 3 additional keywords that I would add to this so I can find them later in eKern.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome.
All right. So, and again, these are the keywords, and as you enter each new keyword, it automatically adds it to the database. So if I were to say, I guess, what is it? Scaffolding. And then I can add scaffolding here, and that's the first time I've ever used the word scaffolding. It would it would put that into the database, and I could then add scaffolding to every other photograph that has scaffolding in it. Right. So that's keywords. So we got file naming, we got image attributes, and keywords. Next section we can go to is just geotagging. This is a map of New York City, and I don't know if you could see it, but Staten Island is down here, and you can see that there's not that many images associated with Staten Island. This is Brooklyn right here. There's a lot, But look at Manhattan. The whole length of Manhattan is covered with series of numbers. So that must mean that most of my images are shot in Manhattan. Right? Up in the Bronx, you have a little bit, even in New Jersey over here, Newark over here, and a couple of others. So you sort of know where I die. So anytime I want to know all my images from a certain spot, all I have to do is just click on that orange dot and it'll show all the image that I ever shot in that spot, no matter what year I photographed it.
Now, let me ask you a question. You'd already mentioned that it was an APO lens, so I'm not telling anything out of school. When you get the geotagging on your image, is that done at capture or is it done after capture when you look through your phone through some sort of app to view your images? Or how does the geotagging get done on your specific camera?
My camera does not have geotagging capabilities, so all the geotagging done is done in Lightroom. So that means I have to bring up the map, crisscross the corner in the street in which I took the photograph, then drag and drop the photograph onto that spot, and that'll attach the geotag to the image.
Right. So you're
within Lightroom.
So you're manually geotagging.
I'm manually geotagging, yeah. Now, if I had an iPhone, the iPhone automatically geotags, so I don't have to do that. So if I import an iPhone image, it'll automatically show up.
But you know, now that you mentioned that, I was doing that when I was driving cross country. I'd shoot some, you know, high res with my 35, but then I would take a quick snapshot with the iPhone just to geotag it, so I could, you know.
Yeah, right. And that's what I would do too, which is sometimes since I don't have the geotag on my camera, I just take a picture of the spot I took the other pictures with, so that way I can pull that in. But that means you have to import the image and delete it afterward from your phone, at least for this particular process, because you'd have to put it in.
Yeah. I got you.
But otherwise it wouldn't. So geotagging is it. And yeah, so geotagging would be the last part of the equation, at least for this particular presentation for today for me. So do you guys have any questions regarding what I just went through?
No, I was waiting for you to come up with the Library of Congress catalog formatting. But that was good. I learned a lot.
Yeah,
we actually had to do the something similar when we were submitting photographs to Washington, D.C. when I was in the Navy. And you have to have the date and then your last name or your last initial, the similar formatting, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the end, so that it was located where you shot it, who shot it, when you shot it, and it gets archived like that. That's really good. That brings back a lot of. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for that. That's cool.
Yeah,
it's so important. Oh my gosh, because like you said, you know, when you're doing it for public affairs or for publication, and like now when they have to do a pullback and they're comparing January 6th to Watergate. They have to go into their tapes and pull up Watergate on a certain date, certain data, and then you can reference it. And I can't even imagine what a mess it would be if you didn't have it cataloged like that. That's awesome, Ken.
Okay, Greg. So we're going to go to your presentation now. So your screenshot.
Because it's the exact opposite of organization.
So explain to us what we're looking at.
I've been terribly remiss about properly archiving my image, but I have a simple basic. If I start a project, I'll start a folder and I'll either put it on the desktop so I can access it quickly, and I'll have big topic folders, and then inside it'll be other subfolders. Like, okay, what we're looking at is my desktop, where I just put a bunch of if I'm really stressed, I'll click on the Tibetan bowl music and let that calm me down, and I'll do my own and relax. And then I'll go into like I have up there Sacramento folio, where normally when I get down to like a folio folder, it'll just be the best of the shots that I took in Sacramento. but the head, the over folder will just be Sacramento, and I'll just grab all the images from that and dump them into that folder. And then I'll go into that folder, and then I'll, break it down by what it is, where it was, and maybe topical, guys on bikes, the river, the water tower, the Tower Bridge or whatever, and just keep it organized, semi-organized, not as good as yours, Ken, but semi-organized like that, until I can, you guys said you would help me, really need your help, and it works to a point. It does get a little vexing when there is one image and you really need to pull it up, but thankfully I've been kind of laid back, and but those laid back days are coming to an end because I have to really crunch down. I just found 4 more external drives, and I've got to really put these things together. But as you see here, I've got cross country. A lot of cross country shots I did in 2018 are in there, but it's just a few because I shot a lot of cross country, and that folder only has 10 in it. So I'm taking this down to my my final picks that are in these folders. These are subfolders that need to be coordinated or put together with images from the other folders. The artist, if it's something that I really like, and I know I'm going to be going in and editing the image fairly heavily, I'll just have a topic and the artist in Washington Square. I really enjoy that part because there's a lot going on, a lot of people coming through, musicians and painters and all kinds of artists that go through there. I can't wait for the maybe next year I'll be there for the do they still do that nude thing and nude painting, body painting in Washington Square? And I think they stopped it for COVID, but they're probably going to bring that back.
I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but from what I remember, they're still doing it. There's one specific artist who does it a lot. I haven't seen or tracked that person in a couple of years.
Yeah, you got to get on a waiting list. But anyway, yeah, that's my rudimentary, heavy on the rude, the rudimentary way of just filing. It's a looser filing of my images, but I do need to definitely start cataloging them tighter because I do need to cross-reference them because there's a couple of photography groups that I want to get involved with, and they do a lot of shows in the area. So that's something I want to do. But that's my basics. That's a basic. It's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Not the best way to do it, but that's the ones that I'm working on right now.
It makes sense to you, and I think that's the important part. If it makes sense to you, then do it. Once you begin to think about sharing, that's when you have to think about, would it make sense to someone else?
Right.
Right. Or then you'd have to go through the process of sharing the way you work in terms of the way you organize with someone else so they understand it completely front to back.
Right. Well, I don't want those guys that have the space lasers, stealing my work. So, because they're all watching, they're watching.
Too bad you don't have a folder there that says Comic Con. I was hoping to see San Diego Comic Con.
Oh, you see something? Yeah, I've been there. Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, Mark, take up the mantle.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah, it seems like your kind of thing though, Comic Con. Okay,
let's see what you got.
The first image should be, there you go. I photograph a variety of subjects, quite a broad range of top subjects. Still lifes, models, landscapes, and the big issue for me is that most of these images go to other people, whether they're paid photographs, stock images, free photographs, and it's really important for me to find these items relatively quickly, or have a way where they can find their images very quickly. every one of my photographs, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but every one of my finished photographs reside in folders on the website that I use. It's used for both illustrating what I can do, but it's also where the primary storage is done. I have storage locally, but the cloud is also where I store a lot of images. If we go to the next slide, this is not really how I store my images, but this is a close enough representation. Actually, my storage should be this good. Basically, it's roughly how I think about these things. I break everything down basically by places, events, portraits, and things. And if I had more time, I would have color coded this a little bit better so you would see that the places are pretty much separated by things that are local, which would be the United States and abroad, and broken down by city, whether they're street scenes or landmarks. You know, we all photograph. We'll go to Washington, D.C. and we'll do street photography, and then we'll also, maybe we'll try to get photographs of the Washington Monument or the Black Lives Matter street mural or something like that. And so that would be in another category. And so these folders reside on the website so that if I need to get them, I can find them. Because I don't always know exactly what year I photographed everything. For me, because it's not a continuous body of work where I'm working on one giant art project where it's really important that I know every single image as a sort of a moment in my time. For me, it's a variety of assignments, and both are very much legit. You go to where it says events, you know, roughly broken down to what's free and what's paid. And with the free, you have, you know, by family, and it's broken down into, you know, graduations, barbecues, parties, things like that. And what's free might also be charities that I've photographed because I've done each of these things. And then with paid images, and I didn't put stock images there, but it's both broken down by category. You know, there was weddings, other things like birthday parties would fall into that same category. And I put racing, right, because that would be sports. I should have had a block for sports.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't photographed any auto races whatsoever, but I used this to illustrate. There'd be racing, and then there would be Grand Prix and NASCAR. And under maybe one of those categories, that's when I start breaking things down by the year, because that's when the year is really important. With the events, the time is really important. You don't want to present the winner of a race of 2002 when the winner actually won in 2007 or 2011 or 2005, and vice versa. If you go to where it says portraits, you can sort of divvy that up in subfolders. Each one of those boxes represents sort of a subfolder, by the way, of, you know, there's portraits. Are they group portraits? Because that's how based on whether it was an assignment. Was it an assignment to go to a realtor and photograph the entire staff, or was it photograph the team? And then maybe I did individuals as well, but they really needed the team photo. What are these, you know, clubs? Was it a knitting club? Or are these families? You know, a lot of times the families will have family portraits, but then there are a lot of times when I'm doing headshots, maybe someone's business photograph or modeling composite. Those sort of things are under individual. So the groups and the individuals, if the primary focus is based on, the primary focus is to get a group photo, then that's how I categorize it. If the primary focus was to get a headshot for the individual, that's how I'll categorize it. Sometimes they overlap a little bit, but I always know what was the initial assignment. And there are other things that you pick up along the way. And in the last category, we have things. And those would be tabletop, on seamless, very simple things like that, whether it's blue seamless, purple seamless, or whatever. And then you can kind of break that down into sort of room sets, whether they're natural light room sets. Basically, I haven't done anything. It's sort of the reality of living in life, and maybe it's a restaurant. That would be where, you know, you photograph your cup of coffee, your latte. And then also flash, you know, a subset would be room sets, would be flash, which basically a set that's built by me. Not necessarily a room, but something where I actually did some sort of construction. And that's kind of how I think about all of these things. My actual archive is a little different from this, but for the sake of confidentiality. I didn't want to actually use the exact names or the exact file structure, but this is roughly enough to kind of give you an understanding of how I think about these things. This presentation is not as granular as what Ken presented, but like I said, I don't want to give too much away. And in terms of naming conventions, titles are very much important for me. It's not as important because I do know that if I present this to any corporation, they're going to have their own internal number assigned to it anyway. They're going to receive the image. They're going to assign a tracking number internal to their specific system anyway. So it doesn't really matter. I just have to make sure they get what they need, and they can comprehend what it is.
Right, but I think one of the key importance is that you have to recognize whatever file names you send, whatever they wind up tracking, using as their tracking number. You have to marry it back to your image just in case they ask for another version of that shot. Well, so I would figure it really has to be a key point to you marry your file naming with their file naming convention, even if they change it. So that way, if they ask for another one, you know which one it is.
Well, I'll give you an example. I photograph a lot of pageants. Let's say someone says to me, I'd like pageant.
You dropped out.
Said they photograph from Miss Pembroke Valley. Let's say I photograph. Let's see when I did photograph. Miss Gateway, right? And that's like Gateway National Park area. So if I have to photograph Miss Gateway, you know, someone, if they want that image, they would have to call me up and they would say, well, I'm looking for images from whatever year I photographed. I don't remember at this time. I want images from 2005 Miss Gateway. I photograph that. I can look through my folders to see where that is, well, you know, what the name of the pageant would be. And then from there, you can go to whether it's the, you know, that pageant and what year of it. Because in some instances, just like this illustration with the Grand Prix racing, I photographed the same pageant several years, not necessarily in a row, but I may have photographed 2011, 2012, and 2014. And so if they know that they want
Grand Prix.
No. I said in the beginning, I haven't. This is an example. This is very similar to the way I think of it. I use this to illustrate how I
NASCAR too.
How I categorize events, similar to sporting events. If I already did a concert series every year, I would do this the same way.
I'm confused now. Am I looking at a flow chart, or these are your file names?
This is representative of the way that these aren't my file names. This is representative of the way I organize my files. It's similar to a flow chart. Yeah, it's like a flow chart, but it's not the exact names. So what you'll find is, let's say instead of baseball, I used racing, right? So I put baseball, and it might be World Series. I've never photographed the World Series, but I'd put down what that event is, right? First the sport, then the event, and then what year. And if I did it 3, 4, 5 years, I would be able to categorize it that way. And then I know exactly when someone calls up, I want to photograph from that year of that sporting event, of that sport, that pageant or whatever. So that concert series, I can find it that way. Now, interestingly enough, with the sporting event material, that material, I didn't really keep a lot of that. I photographed for myself.
No. Mark, we lost the last 10, 20 seconds of your what you just said.
What I said was the sporting events that I photographed, those were done for another company, so I didn't really retain those. Those were materials specifically for them. That was purely work for hire. So I only retained portfolio pieces on that.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to rely on you, Mr. Nelson. I just wanted to get some more ideas from you when it comes time when I break out, because I got my work cut out for me, man. I got a bunch of hard drives that I got to pull down, and also I wanted to, as a topic, because a lot of people are saying with privacy issues or whatever, is it safe to put your, work on the cloud too? I can understand wanting to do that just for the convenience, but what I've been taught, especially in the digital realm, is that backup. They usually, for like major motion pictures, they have at least 4 backups, and 2 of them are released on different continents.
Okay.
So, I'm not going to get that crazy, but I don't have a problem with having 2 or 3 backups, because I had the misfortune before I switched over to a Mac system. I had the misfortune of having a PC crash actually too, but the major, PC crashed, and I lost a lot of work, and I said never again. I backed it up, but even the storage, my external drive was infected. So every time I don't even talk about it, but you get the idea. So
Yeah. Yeah.
cataloging is great, so you can get at it, but backing up for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, and backing up offsite is key. So if it has to be the cloud, then be the cloud. The question is how much space is allocated for that is dependent on how large your archive is. And of course, that means that that's going to drive up costs, because the larger your archive, the more you're going to have to spend for that space.
It depends on the service. Some services have unlimited storage for X amount of dollars.
Not a lot. I think I pay like $10 a month, and I have like 250 gig. I'm not even coming anywhere close to that. So,
That's not bad.
Yeah, I would think that anyone who shoots on a regular basis, as in me, would probably opt for no less than 10 terabytes of space. So I would say that that's the minimum that you would probably want to do. Because because right now, you would know, because if you already have an archive and you already have a hard drive, you know how many hard drives you're using to hold your images. And
Right.
if you have 5 hard drives, and each hard drive is a terabyte, then you at least you need 5 terabytes of space, if not more, to back up your images. So
Right.
use that as an equation.
A pop note too. Are you going to? Because that's something else that I found out. I got a little skittish about the rotating drives. And a friend of mine who's a computer tech, he's like, yeah, if you can transition to solid state drives, most definitely do that, because you don't know when those spinning disks or spinning drives are going to give out on you. Anything can happen with any piece of equipment, but I took that to heed, and I bought a couple of solid state external.
If you're using a Mac, the Time Machine works very well.
Yay, Mac! Okay, I feel
Okay.
That was my happy.
All right, guys. We're going to close it off here. We hope we've given our viewers some useful information. I think we have. And if you're a viewer, please, if you have questions about file naming conventions, archiving your own images, leave a message, leave a comment below. We'll get back to you with an answer.
Subscribe.
Yes, subscribe, of course, to the. Oh my God. Subscribe to the channel, please. That way you'll notified when more of our episodes are available. We thank you for joining us today. My name is Kenneth Nelson. I'm here with my good friends Marc Skinner and Greg Cleghorn. We are 3 Black Pratt grads. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.